guys look good.
Scott, did you hear about the incident on Table Bluff?
Yeah, you talked about it.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear about it any more from or did you look into it any further after hearing about it?
Yeah, I did not.
Okay. Did you know that it got picked up by national news? We passed the story off to Daily Wire, and then it just went viral. Where it's
no, I honestly didn't keep track of it.
Okay. Did you know that no other local media besides us and John Chiv covered it? Besides because Lost Coast Outpost and Redheaded Black Belt just did the basic booking statement.
I mean, I look at the news. I assume you're right.
Okay. So were you aware of the Loco Fishco incident at the fair? Okay. So do you see any kind of disparity in the way things are covered with that, and then with a member of the LGBT community not getting any coverage but the booking statement?
So what do you mean by disparity? Just think they should have equal coverage.
Exactly. I think one got booking statement, maybe the other one should just get a booking statement until they're if it's to not interfere with the trial if someone's been charged with something.
No, I mean, I think if an alleged crime occurs, it should be covered.
Okay. So you think the incident up at Table Bluff should have been covered by other local media as well?
I think noteworthy news or newsworthy news should be covered.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for that. We'll move on to something else. In previous council meetings, you had mentioned a concern about sea level rise in lieu of climate change.
Not in lieu of,
because of. Okay.
Yes.
How much do you think the ocean has risen in the last 10 years? And how much do you think it rises annually?
I know in the past, what is it? It's been 8 inches over the past. I forget the exact amount of decades, but it has risen. Strictly, that's just
what I've read. It's around 2 to 3 centimeters a year.
I think you're right. Probably 3. Yeah.
So do you think that is on par with the kind of the climate fear that we see in the news that's being pushed? We gotta...
No, I get what you're saying.
2050, it might have risen a foot.
No, and I'll say this. I'm a scientist.
Okay.
That's my training.
Well, what kind of science?
I work for the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So I do fishery science, is my background, but I do cannabis work, so I like the cannabis industry. But one of the things that we're constantly looking at is climate change and the effects, wildfires, floods. And if you watch the news, man, you see hurricanes intensity increasing, all these things, right? So I like to think of this, maybe 3 centimeters doesn't, or 3 millimeters, or whatever, doesn't seem like much. But think of our kids. We got the Greenland ice sheet. It's starting to fail. It's not, any kind of conspiracy. It is starting to fail. The Antarctic ice sheet, the West Glacier is a hair from failing. Those things happen and it's going to accelerate. Okay, beyond this little 3 centimeters or whatever you're talking about a year or 3 millimeters, it's going to accelerate. So we're going to do planning, what do we do with our waterfront? What do we do with Humboldt Bay, with our roads, all this stuff, that infrastructure that lets us live, normal lives. We should be thinking about that. We should be conservative about that. What if it could happen? What if it could rise 10 feet in 100 years? That's going to change a lot. Florida's going to be underwater. So just from that conservative component of thinking about the future, thinking about our kids, I know you have kids, I have kids, what kind of world do we want to look at? Because you and I can live forever, but they've got decades to go.
Yeah.
And so I think about that. Even if there's a possibility that they can go 10 feet in their lifetimes, wouldn't you want to do something about it?
Okay. But when the people that are spreading a lot of this alarm are like flying around the world and their own personal jets. Do you think there's something to that? They might not be really taking it so seriously.
Well, and what is it? 50% of the pollution, climate change causing agents are caused by 1% of the population.
Exactly.
Right? And so it is. What's the word? It's kind of ridiculous, right? Shouldn't they do more than us? They probably should. They probably shouldn't fly a jet to go get lunch.
Have you seen the studies on the actual lifetime carbon footprint of electric vehicles, where through the mining processes and everything that goes involved in creating them, they actually have a bigger carbon footprint than the lifetime of a petroleum vehicle.
The science that you're talking about is not entirely accurate. We're talking about lithium. It's not a very complicated product to mine. They're mining it in lake beds, right? So the actual biggest part of the car is lithium, right? It's not a big deal. But there's other components.
What about the slave labor that goes into mining?
Oh, that's wrong. Absolutely. And we shouldn't allow that, of course. But we've got to figure out a way to do it sustainably and not with slave labor. And you and I agree on that.
Yeah,
100%. It's we shouldn't sacrifice human beings for something that needs to happen in a population scale, right?
For sure.
Working class people should not suffer to make a battery, but we could figure out a way that we can get working class, good paying jobs to do that, and that's starting to happen. But it's a process, but we need to focus more in on it.
Yeah, and I guess part of the jobs that are coming in, because of that, like that offshore winds project, and from what I've read, even with once they get going, they're going to require subsidies to keep on going, so they're not going to really maintain. Do you think that's a feasible way to do things if they can't operate business without getting kickback from the government?
Well, and maybe that's right, but also if you think about nuclear power, right? All that solid waste that's just sitting at plants like PG&E and all these other places, nuclear power is subsidized by the government, and that's something
that goes. They use that to make munitions to blow stuff up, so that's all right.
Well, all those things, right? So we subsidize oil industry, in a ton of ways. So you can't just say, well, we shouldn't subsidize wind, but we're subsidizing everything else under the sun.
I don't know about not subsidizing wind, but offshore, it just seems like it'd be incredibly more difficult to maintenance them when they're way out in the middle of the ocean.
They're going to be 15 to 20 miles.
And they also, I think they require petroleum lubricants to run the blades.
Everything's going to, you can't get, everything's going to have it's not going to be perfect, right? Yeah. But when you can generate the amount of electricity out there that's possible,
what do you think about
trying to make this wind energy thing something make it seem wrong. I don't see why it's.
I think some people might just think that maybe it's not wrong, but maybe there should be a backup plan to go with it if it fails, not just all eggs in one basket. Because it started out in Japan after the Fukushima incident, from what I understand, and they're already backing off it because it doesn't really seem sustainable.
Oh, there's a lot of countries. You go to Europe, there's tons of turbines over there. They're going fine. You go to Altamont Pass, where there's 1,000 or something turbines making a ton of electricity.
And they're out in the ocean.
No, that's by San Francisco, by where I used to live in Modesto.
My brother actually just got work up here, I think it was 299 East, clearing brush around some wind towers, something like that. So yeah, definitely good for jobs. And
you're right. The offshore stuff is a challenge, but it's a challenge that we should try and take on because there's so much fuel out there in wind, right?
Yeah.
That if we can capture that, we're going to power. We're going to produce a ton of power. And there's no way that it's going to be exported. We're going to have so much power. We can't even use it all here. So why not?
What do you think about impacts on the fishermen and boats and aquatic life around it?
No, that's a real deal. Fishermen, they're involved in the discussions. They're trying to get equity out of this, right? We're going to be impacted, and we should consider them, and we should make sure that they are compensated for whatever they lose. That's just seems like something we'll have to do. right? I mean,
But like, aside from their loss, the actual loss, it could be like an extinction level event for some subspecies that are only live in certain microclimates.
no, there'd be no impacts on fish itself. I mean, those things would probably attract tuna, to be honest. I'm a fisherman. And then you fish any kind of offshore structures, probably tuna all over it. But the
It's
actual
a buoy, right?
What?
It's like a buoy,
It's
right?
like a buoy.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
They call them fish aggregation devices, FADs. And so those things, the impacts to the fishery itself, not really there. It's more
I
about
read like a report from I think it was an Army Corps of Engineers person who said that there's they emit like a constant sonar when they're running.
oh, like a hum or something.
It'll disturb the
If
fish.
you have that, I'd love to see it.
Okay.
That'd be interesting.
Let me see here. Also, Gavin Newsom has repeatedly stated that California wildfires are caused by climate change. Do you agree with that?
I think that the science pretty much says that they're not really necessarily caused, but they're made worse. Because if you look at trees, right, and transpiration from trees, and they're much drier now because the air is drier. So they're much more flammable. So if you do a lightning strike on a tinder dry forest, it's going to burn hard. So there's a connection, but it's not causal. It's like we always have lightning, right?
Because while he says that, he also fails to mention known cases of arson where people have been arrested. Do you think that's dishonest to blame it all on climate change and not mention arson that's actually happening?
No, we know arson happens on the forest. I think 90% of wildfire is human caused. Whether that's arson or negligence or whatever, but we got to do a better job of not allowing fires to happen.
And what do you think about when Trump came when he was in office? He came to California and said it was all about a lot of it was about forest management and lack of clearing underbrush. Do you think that plays a big part?
Forest management is a huge thing. I mean, if you go out to you go 30 miles that way to a national forest, we haven't done a lot of management. I mean, I think we started fire suppression 100 years ago. Put all fires out.
Yeah.
And if you go and if you look at it, if you go out with the forest or something, it's fascinating because they look like this, but there's all these little trees going up in there, right?
Yeah.
They used to burn regularly by Native Americans. And they would clear it out. They would clear it out.
Yeah.
Now we have these overstocked forests. Management is a key, and I think that's happening at the state level. Drive out to Ruth Lake and see some of the fuel reduction projects. It's happening.
I remember some of they're trying to manage it. Wildfires were happening, and it seemed kind of ridiculous in Trinity County where they're taking napalm and launching it to the opposite side of the river just to start fires to kind of make that.
Well, and that's called backfiring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like if I have to, I don't burn towards the fire so that you protect the homes and stuff. It's all it may seem kind of crazy, but there's a method to it. I did it in Gasky.
Yeah.
I did backfiring operations. Let's burn it before it gets here because we can control it. The wind's going that way. So it's just a part of management that it's emergency management technique, but it's a management technique nonetheless.
Okay, well, that's all we got for you then.
Oh, yeah.
Talking,
Really?
man.
No, that was a good question.
You did a really good job too, representing yourself.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I
cheers.
appreciate it. Seriously.
Absolutely.